Hello, and welcome to the Bad Sports Takes channel. If this is your first time watching, just to let you know, the way that my videos are set up, the way that I like for it to be set up, I love comments, I love debating with people respectably, but the number one rule of all things is to make sure, watch the entire video. Most of my videos are pretty short, so watch the video to get the full context before you end up commenting anything, as it's kind of annoying to comment with someone that didn't watch the whole video and it turns out that we were mostly in agreement the whole time. Watch the video, pay attention, and then comment to your heart's content. Thank you for stopping by in this video, and I hope you enjoy the following production. Welcome to another video. Is Matt Ryan overrated? And I mean this in the current tense. The short answer is no, and the long answer is also no, but he used to be overrated for a brief, very brief, and I have to emphasize this, very brief period of time. Except for this very brief period of time following things like reaching the Super Bowl and winning an MVP, which are two extremely high-end achievements for a quarterback to do. Other than that period of time, Matt Ryan's never been overrated. Like, has he always been seen as like a good quarterback? Yes. And is he? Yeah. Is he on a team with a bad offensive line and bad defense? Yes. Is it partially his fault for taking more money than he should have, knowing that he's not the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, elite tier of quarterbacks? Yes. He should have known, if I want to win, I'm going to have to take a pay cut in order to keep a good team around me. And he didn't do that. Instead, he chose to be, for a brief period of time, the highest paid quarterback in the league. And years later, that's left us with a roster with not much depth and a lot of problems. But here's the thing, Matt Ryan's not overrated, and he certainly hasn't been overrated for the better half of 4 years. And the reason why I say that is because after the MVP in 2016, for the most part, Matt Ryan's not really been seen in that positive of a light. Most people think that he's overrated, which is ironically where you get to the point where they're no longer overrated. And another thing, when you think of Matt Ryan, you don't think of a quarterback that's being propped up by the media. You think of a quarterback that was the quarterback for the team that blew the 28-3 lead. And you think of the quarterback that's on the team that consistently blows leads. When people think of Matt Ryan, they're not thinking of excellence. And for something to be overrated, it has to be most people think this way about a certain thing. Like, for a while, most people was like, Dak Prescott's a top 5 quarterback, but if you actually start from the very top of the list, right, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, well, debatably Russell Wilson at this point, and Deshaun Watson might not ever play again. He might not, we don't know. Don't know if I said Aaron Rodgers, probably didn't. And there's also, of course, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You guys see the point, right? You can probably realistically list off 5 quarterbacks that have a higher upside than Dak Prescott, for example, right? That's an example of a guy that might be overrated. And also, being overrated doesn't mean that you're bad at all. It just means that you're being evaluated slightly higher than your actual value. But again, Matt Ryan is the butt of so many jokes. And then here's the big part about it. His own fan base hates him. Most Falcons fans want him gone, me included, for different reasons. But another thing is that most people see Matt Ryan as the problem in Atlanta. I'm just stuck here thinking, for the past 4 or 5 years, we've seen all these bad defenses, this bad coaching, and just a whole bunch of other problems, and you really think that he is the far and away biggest, number 1 problem on the team. People act like he is literally the cause of every other issue. Maybe his contract is the issue, but he certainly isn't playing at a horrible level. I mean, look, a lot of quarterbacks would do a lot worse on this Falcons team. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. But Matt Ryan should still move on. We should still move on from Matt Ryan anyway, because his contract is not worth what we're getting in return for his level of play. And it doesn't make sense for this team. This roster is not a contending roster to any reasonable extent. There's no universe where this roster even makes sense to make the playoffs, let alone get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. So that's why he and we need to move on from this era as a whole. But that's not going to stop me from having nuance and understanding the context of the team. I'm not going to look at Matt Ryan and say, yeah, he's the problem. He's the root cause of every single thing that's wrong with this franchise. And that's how most people, especially in the Falcons fan base, view Matt Ryan. And under that context, I just can't understand how he's ever overrated. Like, that doesn't make any sense. How can you be overrated when your own team's fan base hates you? And anytime big media brings up you and your team, it's almost always in the context of blowing a lead. I just don't get it. Where is the unwarranted praise for Matt Ryan? And again, it can't be from something from around 2017, because that was within the context of him having won an MVP and just made the Super Bowl. So again, show me. I'm all ears. I'm all open to be proven wrong that Matt Ryan is routinely overrated by the media year in and year out. But if you can't show me that, then you have to stop with this bullshit take that Matt Ryan is overrated. Matt Ryan is a solid quarterback. You put him on a team like the Broncos, or I'm trying to think of another team that's like kind of good, being somewhat held back by their quarterback play. You get what I'm saying here. You put him on a solid team, they're going to be right there in the playoff hunt. I think Matt Ryan on the Broncos, for example, or the Steelers, those teams are right now like, what, 5-6, 6-6? I think they'd be like 8-4 with Matt Ryan, if you're asking me. I guess with the Broncos, Teddy Bridgewater hasn't played that much worse than Matt Ryan, if at all. He has a better offensive line and certainly a better defense. So you could make the argument that Matt Ryan's playing around the same level as Bridgewater, but with less. So you could make the argument that Matt Ryan would do better on the Broncos. So I'd give him 1 or 2 wins max there of a difference. I guess really realistically 1 win, but especially on the Steelers, people think Matt Ryan's old. Watch Ben Roethlisberger play. That dude is already in retirement at this point. So hopefully you enjoyed. I just had to get this take off my chest. And I'll see you guys in the next video.